That's the name of the story. There was a professor, and it didn't say the name of him, in England, and he was connected to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And he would come regularly to America to give lectures, give courses. And one time he came, and every time he would come to America as the Kennedy Airport, he would always go and visit the Rebbe's grave called the Ohel. And he would pray there. He would pray. He would go in for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. He would pray, maybe say some psalms or whatever, or stay for as long as he could. And then he would leave. But all the time he would do. One time, now this is one time, he took a cab, and the taxi driver said, "Where are you going?" He told him this address in Manhattan. But he said, "Before, I want to stop off at the Montefiore Cemetery, and there's something I have to do over there." So the taxi driver, a nice guy, maybe a Russian guy, they got into a nice conversation together, and the taxi driver, it ended up that the taxi driver said that he's Jewish. He's Jewish. So he said, "Oh, would you like to put on tefillin?" "Nah, I don't know. I never put on tefillin. I don't know." "But where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to the Lubavitcher Rebbe's grave site." So what do you want to go there for? He says, "Because who is this Lubavitcher Rebbe? Oh, a great person, this and really the tzaddikim, they never really die and they're always really alive." And some people say, anyway. So he said, "Well, you're going in there. Maybe I'll go too." So he said, "Well, if you want to, how much does it cost?" He said, "It doesn't cost anything." So the taxi driver said, "Okay, I'll go." "What do you do when you go in there?" He says, you pray. There's some books in English. You can even say a couple of psalms. You don't have to read from a book. You just pray to whatever you want. Ask for whatever you want. "Well, you ask for things." "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So they went in. There's yarmulkes over there. We gave them a yarmulke, and they went into the site over there. It's called the Tzion. And this professor, he opens up his book of Psalms and he gives them a book in English. And this taxi driver opens up the book and he starts to cry, weeping like a little child. He can't control himself, weeping, and all he can do is just to close his mouth so he doesn't scream out too loud and interrupt other people. And he's crying, weeping, tears are pouring down his eyes. So the professor's looking at him and he can't believe it. I mean, this person is not religious. He does not know anything. And suddenly he's crying and weeping. So, okay, he stays there for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and that's it. He goes out. And the guy takes off his kippah, and they're sitting in the taxi again. He said, the driver says, "Well, I really want to thank you for taking me over there. It was really something, a really inspirational thing." Maybe he put on tefillin with him. Anyway, maybe it was in the nighttime. I don't know. Anyway, so he takes him. So the rabbi, the professor says, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Yes." He said, "What were you crying about? What was?" He said, "Oh, it's Freddie." It's Freddie. He says, "Freddie, what is your son?" He says, No, my dog, Freddie." "It's your dog? What do you mean?" He said, "Oh, me and my wife, we can't have any children. All the doctors, we tried. All the doctors say it's impossible. And so we bought a dog. And how we love this dog. Oh, he starts to cry again. So he says, "Well, Freddie is sick, and tomorrow he's going to have an operation. It's hard to operate. It's hard for me to talk." He starts to cry. He says, "Freddie, your dog is going to have a heart operation tomorrow, and that's what you were crying about?" He said, "Yeah." So he said, "What's the big problem? You can buy yourself another dog." He said, No, Freddie. Start crying. He says, "Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." So he takes him he gets to the place where he's supposed to be in Manhattan, and he gives him a tip, and he says, pays him, and he gives him his calling card, the professor. He says, listen, I'm sorry what I said about your dog. I didn't mean to insult you or anything like that. I just really have no appreciation for animals. I never had a pet myself. And, I'm really sorry for I was so insensitive to. I hope you'll accept my apology. He said, of course I do. Of course, there's no problem. You took me to this rabbi. I'm so thankful to you. You know what? I said, well, here's my card. I want you to be in touch with me. I want you to be in touch with me and tell me how it came out with your dog, Freddie. I'm sorry I spoke, so insultingly. Okay. Call me up. Call me collect. Okay. So he said, okay, thank you very much. Here's my name. Okay. My phone number. I live in England. Here's my phone number. You call me up, collect. Okay. Good. So that was, back, this is the story must have happened. Who knows? 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Call me. Okay. 20 years ago, 25. So he said, okay, good. So the professor goes about, finishes his work, whatever, flies back home, and that's it. A week passes, a month passes, a half a year passes, nothing. A year passes. The professor totally forgot about this whole thing. He met so many people and did so many things. Forget it. He gets a phone call. He picks up the phone. Yes, collect call from Mr. Gross. Will you accept the Mr. Gross? I don't know. Where is he from? He says, Mr. Gross, he's from New Jersey. Mr. Gross from New Jersey. I don't know. I don't know if I know him. I mean, maybe he's got the wrong number. He says, no, you're professor, whatever. Yes. I don't know. I could collect the call. I said, okay, you know what? I'll accept the charges. Who knows who could be? Hey, hello there. How you doing, professor? He says, hello, who is this? Mr. Gross, remember the taxi driver? Taxi driver. Gross. I don't know. I don't remember. A year ago, you took me to the Rebbe's burial. Yeah. How's your dog? So, the dog, thank God, the dog is okay. The dog got well. So why did you wait a year to call me up? Why didn't you call me back then? He said, oh, I knew you wouldn't appreciate the dog. You have no appreciation for the dog. The reason I'm calling you up now is to tell you that in fact, I'll tell you what happened. The dog got better. He survived the operation. And I was so grateful that I went back to the place where we were, to that grave, and to say thank you. And there's boys over there, and I asked them, how can I give thanks? What can I do? I'd like maybe to give money. And so the boys say, I would certainly like money. There's no doubt about it. But I think what the Rebbe would really like is if you started to do some commandments. I was there with my wife. And so I said, commandments, what are the commandments? I don't know. So he said, well, maybe, what about like putting on tefillin, and what about keeping kosher? What about Shabbos? So I said, okay, listen, all right, you know what? I can do this tefillin thing. I can do that, I think. And kosher food, I guess I can. Shabbos, that's going to be a little bit hard. I don't know if I can not work. That's very common, but I'll do those things. And my wife said, I also would like to give thanks. I would also. So the young man said, listen, there's the laws of family purity. You can, here's this number of this rabbi, call him up and he'll explain it. So they call him, they came down and talked about all the laws of, going to the mikveh and keeping family purity. And my wife did it. And you know what happened? She became pregnant. And that's the reason I'm calling you up, is to tell you that just yesterday was the circumcision, the bris of my son. My son, right? I know you wouldn't appreciate anything about dogs. So therefore, I wanted to call you up and tell you about this amazing miracle that happened because of Freddie got sick. So it shows that Freddie got well, and the man became religious, and they had a beautiful child. It means that Hashem wants everything to be fixed up in the ultimate way. Everyone should be healthy and happy.
Nice story.
Have a good day, everyone. See you at 3:00. Sorry I wasn't here yesterday, but today I'll make it up. Shalom.